Today's show is brought to you by Hightower Brewing Company. And the thing that I like about this particular brewing company, they're located in, I believe it is Southeast Ohio. We call it Rayland. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's about 15 minutes outside of Wheeling, West Virginia. So about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Pittsburgh. But with this particular brewing company, family owned, small business, man, local brewery, family friendly, pet friendly as well. Some of the things they offer within their brewery: live music on the weekends. They always have some type of deal going on food wise as well, man. But IPAs, lagers, the thing that I enjoy the most, and Deke can attest to this as well, they have these dope seltzers as well, man. All the different fruity flavors. I think it was a grape one that I was enjoying. I think it was a blueberry one. That was the other one. It was like a sour blueberry as well, man. It's pretty dope. But the thing that I really enjoy, though, even more so with this, is that this is from a person in the chat, man, a person from this podcast family, man. Greg Whiting, reached out to me when we were at Steelers training camp and was like, yo, man, want to show some support, man. Big fan of the show. And, we were able to go ahead and get this locked in, man. So we appreciate him, man. So anybody that is going over there, their website is in the description box. You purchase anything on that website, you'll get 15% off all of your purchases, along with if you're in, at the actual location. Like I said, it's located in Ohio, southeastern Ohio. It's like right at the border, right by Wheeling, West Virginia. If you go in and you actually mention us while you're in there, you get 15% off of your order as well, whether you're getting drinks or food or all inclusive, man. So it's dope. And they got cool little merchandise. You see the little hat I got rocked out as well, man. So just wanted to shout those guys out, man, over at Hightower Brewing Company, man. Definitely show them some love, man. Absolutely.
Hightower Brewery supports us.
Absolutely, man.
Let's support them.
Absolutely, man.
They got this peanut butter porter too.
You better talk about it.
I'm not a big dark beer guy.
You better talk about it.
But it's pretty damn good. They also, along with the seltzers, you're right. Seltzers are obviously really good. But they have some Pittsburgh theme cans.
They do.
They got a Maz. It's a Bill Mazeroski beer. That's good as well, because they sent us a care package. Yes. I was trying them, and I was like, this hits the spot.
No, without a doubt. I know you're more the beer guy. For me, man, I was enjoying the seltzer. They had the tall, was it 32 ounce they sent us? Yes. It makes the watching experience way better. Start it out there. And you don't have to get as many refills either, Deke. I know, when we got them little ones out there, sometimes we got to worry about that.
True.
But no, shout out to them, though, as well, though, man.
Brent Fox. QQ. Judging from this film, does he just mean question? Judging from film this time last year.
Oh, you're saying quick question.
I guess so.
Yeah,
there you go.
Question.
And what film is out so far? Mm-hmm. Is this O-line worse than last year?
I don't think that the O-line is worse than last year. I just think that they are very inconsistent. I can cut this tape on, and I just don't know if I have enough time this week, but I do want to drop some plays from them where I can show you they had some positive moments. All of these dudes did. But at the same time, it was always, you're going to have 2 good plays, 1 bad play. All right, next guy, 3 good plays, 2 bad plays. This guy, 1 good play, 2 bad plays. All right, now this guy, 3 good plays, 1 bad play. This other guy, 4 good plays, 4 bad plays. It was like just back and forth, and they all took turns. We talked about that popcorn concept before in the sense of, okay, first is this guy, now is this guy, then is this guy. That's the type of stuff that was happening yesterday. Now, some of it was matchup related, but the other parts is like, no, you just got to play better. And I understand the conversations about technique, because that has come up. Oh, man, well, why is this guy teaching that technique, or why can't he get more out of him? I do think it's a couple of things at play here. Number one, we just talk about this group talent-wise. They are still trying to prove themselves. Dan Moore, he's a 4th-round draft pick. He's trying to prove himself. Kevin Dotson, another 4th-round draft pick. He's trying to prove himself. Kendrick Green, 3rd-round draft pick, trying to prove himself. Mason and James Daniels, this is their first substantial contract, so they're trying to prove that they can be the guys. And then similar concept goes with Chooks, because we felt like Chooks is a good player, but we're asking, hey, if you're getting paid double-digit money, can you be a force multiplier? Can you elevate your group? Because essentially we're saying, hey, you're good enough to account for another guy that we could have been paying, $2 million for. We think you're that good at your position. So when we're talking about all those things, I just think at various points in times, these guys have lived up to that expectation, but then they followed it very quickly by not living up to it. And when you're trying to call plays, how do you know which version of his offense line is going to show up? You look at Najee yesterday. He had some runs where he had nice holes, right? And then he has some where it looked like last year, getting hit in the backfield, running into a brick wall. That's the inconsistency. We talk about pass protection. You got some plays where it's like, hey, no hurry up offense, but everybody's blocked up. They got time to take a shot. Then you got times where it's like, if this dude doesn't hold him, our quarterback was killed. And then we got the occasional, just pre-snap penalty. I'll throw a false start in there. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't be playing inconsistently. Then you having the self-inflicted wounds of holding calls, false start penalties, not having everybody on the line of scrimmage, like that type of stuff, because then it makes that effect feel way worse. But I do think talent-wise, we are in a better position with the group that we have now. I just think that those guys have to be a lot more consistent. And going to the technique element of it, and I talked about this last night on the Space Talk. Technique, absolutely, man. It matters. And being a guy that's played for a ton of different position coaches at the NFL level, I was taught numerous techniques. Some of them I agreed with, some of them I didn't. But the one thing that I will tell you consistently, and this is players and coaches, they all agree. When you're in stadium and it's game time, you do what works for you. Don't come out there and you got burnt because you was trying the technique that we've been talking about. You try your stuff in practice. When it's game day, it's game day. Because at the end of the day, you know what that coach is going to tell you? Say, Deke, I've been teaching you this technique, but you're not comfortable with it. Now, you know your technique will work right here. You go out there and make the play. You think I'm gonna bench you? You think I'm gonna yell at you? Hey, Deke, why you gonna use that technique? No, you know what I'm gonna say? Heck of a play, Deke. Let's do it. We'll correct it on the tape later. We'll find a common ground later on. But you can't just go out there every time talking about, hey, coach, man, it's the technique you teach me. Because now we're coming into that seeking comfort phase. That's kind of what we did with Devin Bush in a sense, where it was like every time it was a negative performance, it was this, it was that, it was this, it was that, versus the accountability, versus saying, hey, this is where I have to improve. So when I look at this offensive line, I say to myself, man, don't look around and say, oh, it's new offensive line coach. Oh, it's a new scheme. Oh, I'm new to the team. It's like, no. Because those excuses aren't going to matter when we're sitting here a year from now and we're like, hey, man, y'all guys were piss poor. We want to replace all of y'all. At the end of the day, what you want to do is go out there and figure it out what works for you. And I think once we start getting some of that, once we start getting some of that accountability internally with these players, I think they will continue to improve because they're showing that they are capable of it. And I think that's the frustrating part from my perspective. I thought last year it wasn't a lot of moments where we looked and we're like, hey, they're capable of it. It was a lot of those like, man, well, we just got some bad matchups. I think this year we are capable of playing a lot better, but we just got to be more consistent. And that's the part where it's like, all right, y'all have shown it. Once you put it on tape, man, now I know you're capable of doing it, but now I expect that from you every time. And that's what we're not getting from them. But they're definitely capable of being a way better unit than what they're showing right now.
It's almost like, I like that example you brought up about just go with your technique in game, whatever you feel most comfortable with. It's almost like if you're working on your golf swing.
Come on now.
At the range, you're doing some video tutorials.
Talk about it.
Once you get to the course, if you're in like a little 2v2 match or you're playing for money or you just need to get around the course and have a good time, you got to go with what works.
Yeah.
Save the whole tinkering and all that stuff for the range. Because you're going to put yourself in a bad spot. Yeah. You don't want to be overthinking it when you're on the course. Because that's what's going to happen. You want to just go out there and swing. You don't want to be like, oh, wait, I got to shift my shoulder here, drop my leg, blah, 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 this and that. No, you just want to go out there, swing, try to win, try to hit your best shot in that given moment. So I like that example.
Because it's real. And I'm glad that it applies to all the, like, to golf as well, because that's definitely the case in football. You watch a guy and he's overthinking it, you can tell. It's like, bro, why are you playing this slow? Why aren't you being as physical as you can be? You're thinking too much. But it's when guys are trying to take every bit of information, every coach is pointing like, hey, let's put it out there. And it's like, no, man, when it's game day, you just got to play. You got to know what you know. You got to trust what you trust and just go. Prime example, Mark Robinson. Watch him yesterday. The technique wasn't perfect. He had some mess ups. He had some blown times as well. But the one thing when I continue to watch him, that boy ain't worried about any of that overthinking stuff. He is see ball, get ball. He's playing fast. That's what you're supposed to do. And I think with this offensive line, they're capable of that as well. I just wonder, did they hear the noise in the sense of, hey, man, revamp offensive line. Y'all can't be any worse than last year. And now they're out there overthinking like, hey, we got to be better. We got to be better. Versus just going out there and just playing. Let the expectations, man, they're going to always be there. Whether they too high or too low, don't matter. Like, you control your narrative, man. Go out there and just play. And I just feel like for those guys, that could also be in play here because of the criticism that they received throughout all of last year and this offseason.
Yeah, because they're being talked about.
Yeah.
As being the Achilles heel on the offense already.
Absolutely.
What I will say about the line, though, now, despite the penalties and just some of the hiccups that we clearly saw, like the offensive line isn't a complete product just yet. Yeah. I thought it was a lot better than last week, just in terms of like play on a play-by-play basis. Because last week with Mitch, Dude, he took one snap, and it's 2 seconds. He's almost about to die. I mean, we saw those scrambles. Like, we didn't have to deal with that at all this game. At all. Like, he at least had a few seconds. If he did have to get the ball quick, he was still clean. He made the right read, got it out, and we were able to move. It was those penalties that killed us, I thought, for the most part. I mean, Dan Moore, still a little bit of a question mark. I mean, he was the one that stuck out, I think, in terms of the whole unit. Yeah. It was like everyone else, I just thought it was fine, especially when you compare it to last week. Yeah.
The rest of the guys, probably this Dan Moore was probably the least consistent of that starting unit. The other guys, they had their negative plays, but they did have a lot more positive going for them. It was just Dan. I thought Aiden Hutchinson would be the bad matchup. It was Charles Harris. I'm like, bro, like, Charles is a good player, and we've talked about Charles before. Charles is not that caliber player in my eyes. And I think that was the disheartening part when we talk about Dan Moore. Josh Allen last week, okay, I can get behind it. I'm cool. Travon Walker, okay, I'm cool. It can't be Charles Harris. I just think that that's a different caliber, like a different tier of rusher, a different tier of guy that we're talking about here. And that's the part where I'm like, Dan has to be better there. And this isn't nothing new to him. He knows this. He's looking at that same tape. He knows what he's capable of. He knows what he did last year. But this is also part of the thing when we're talking about last year, when we ask ourselves, okay, we know there were games where we talked about how he was getting beat. It was just how quick we're getting rid of the ball. And part of the whole dynamic was, man, is it Ben not being able to stretch the field, or is it this offensive line that can't protect him, and that's why we got to get rid of it so fast? But that kept the sack numbers down. So part of that is why we felt a lot more confident about Dan Moore coming into this season. But this offense is different this year. We're not trying to just get rid of it, in 2 seconds. We're trying to stretch the field. We're trying to do a little bit more longer developing plays, and it's forcing Dan Moore to have to protect a little bit longer. So I do think part of, the exposure that we're seeing now is because we're asking him to actually have to block longer, for better or worse. But I don't think it's something that you want to revert back to in terms of how the offense looked last year, because I'm enjoying us stretching the field. I'm enjoying seeing Kenny take shots, Mitch take shots, Mason take shots. But it's like, man, we can't do that consistently enough if when we're looking up here at this offensive line, we're like, hey, man, we can't. He ain't got 3 seconds in him. He ain't got 4 seconds in him. Like, that's going to be a little bit of issue there, Yeah. Yeah. He was the one that I left the stadium, like, the most disheartened about.
We'll hit the alarm button if this continues into the regular season, I think, early on. But there's not too much out there. I mean, might have to have Peters on speed, though.
Ooh, I was going to go Fisher if he was healthy.
It doesn't matter. I mean, one of those three, I guess.
He said either one, right?
Or trade for someone. I told you. Let's see if there's an 0-3 team.
Yeah, Isaiah Winhead came up again last night. Obviously, he's one of those dudes, but I don't know if he's the answer. Like, that's my problem. And what I'm going to have to give up to go get him. Like, I don't know if that's the answer for what we got right now, man.
I didn't do my homework. I said I was going to check to see, bottom 5 or 6 projected teams and look at their left tackles to see what could maybe be a good trade. Yeah. I didn't do that homework yet. I'll try to be better. I'll try to get you something on Wednesday.
I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Right from the heart, man.